Well, thanks everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm Artie Merritt. I'm the founder of Reconify. It's an analytics platform for generative AI, and I'll show it to you real quick. We couldn't have done this without Microsoft helping sponsor this and host the event. So I wanted to hand it over to Peter Berg from M12.vc so you can say a few words.
Thanks so much, Artie. Hello, everyone. I'm Peter Berg. I'm with M12, which is Microsoft's venture fund. We're delighted to have Artie and the entire Builder community here tonight at the Reactor Space. For those of you who don't know, M12, we invest in seed stage through Series B stage companies across the board, B2B primarily, almost exclusively, but in many different domains from cybersecurity, DevOps, all the way through B2B SaaS, and of course AI is like everything, everywhere, all at once these days. So very AI heavy, but delighted to have you all here. Very glad to play a small role in co-hosting, and thank you to Artie for bringing together this community. If there's anything I can do for you, if I can be a front door to Microsoft or get you to the right people, happy to do that. Feel free to find me. You can also send me a note. We can put up contact info. But I just wanted to say a warm welcome, and thank you all for coming.
So we have a great lineup of demos tonight. There's 6 different startups that are going to demo their Gen AI solutions. There was quite a few applications, so if anyone is interested in demoing this, we hope to do these on a monthly basis, and we can have folks add another one. So as mentioned, I'm the founder of Reconify. I was just going to share a real quick overview on what we do, and then we're going to jump into all the different demos. So Reconify is analytics for Gen AI. It could be chatbots or writing content, generating content, even generating images. And what we have is what you think of as traditional analytics. So this is showing a dashboard of all the different apps I'm tracking. It's tracked at the app level. I'm just going to pick one of them here. It's a chatbot. And it's just a sample chatbot that I use for demo purposes. That's why it's not always accessed. But some of the analytics, what you think of as normal, traditional analytics around the users and sessions, is all the interactions. If you're concerned about costs of models, we keep track of the different costs as well as the latency. But where this gets much more interesting is if we go into the prompts themselves. And here we can see all the different prompts that were sent into this particular chatbot, and we can filter based on the type, whether it was a user prompt, a system prompt, or whatnot. And I can pick one, like here, just right here, both Jason Tatum being in the Hall of Fame. So you can see what the responses were when this message was sent in, and then we can see if there's similar prompts as well. So will Tatum make the Hall of Fame versus will Tatum be in the HOF or Hall of Fame. So you can see that was semantically similar, nearly 92%, and you can compare the responses. So depending on the 2 different prompts, here's what the responses look like. You can also see all the individual responses that came back, but this is a bit overwhelming, so we can do clusters on the responses too. And this does that same similarity clustering. And now if I was to pick one of them, I can explore the differences based on the response. So picking this one, and I just pick a different one at random here. We can see, in one case, it's you're a basketball expert. Is Jason Tatum on pace to be in the Hall of Fame versus you're an NBA analyst? Will Jason Tatum be in the Hall of Fame? I think he will. I don't know if there's any Celtics fans. But you can see you get different responses. So this just can help you decide whether the responses are effective or not. There's also all the individual interactions. So if you're concerned maybe about latency, I can sort by latency and go in and see this particular interaction. Why did it have high latency? How many tokens were used? What model was it? If it's a chatbot like this is, you can see the back and forth interactions with the messages. For model usage, you can see this one uses 3 different models, and you can go in and see the cost breakdown and the latency, like the latest version of GPT 3.5 has higher latency. And then it's not just about showing analytics. The idea is to have tools to take action. So the first one of those tools is this concept of guardrails, where on any prompt or response, you can set a guardrail. So if this was concerning to you for whatever reason, if there's PII in it, or someone sending in something that that you don't want them to send in, or the response comes back that's offensive, you can create a guardrail. And that guardrail is set based on the semantic similarity. So how close is that message to subsequent messages? Anywhere from 50% to 100%. And then what would happen is, if a new message comes in that's similar enough, it'll trigger that alert. So I have just a very basic script here that's asking for the cat joke, and if I run it here, so it should kick off the alert. Check when the email's coming through. It'll do run it twice in case it didn't get a joke that hit the alert. So you can see here. So the alert's going to either go to email or webhook. So this one hit the email, but this was a 100% match. It was the same exact response. This is earlier in the day when I did this. It was a 87 or 90, nearly 90% response. So the alert was set on this particular message. This is the message that came through. It's nearly 90% similar. It sent that alert. I can go in and then see the interaction, learn a bit more about it. Or if you went to the webhook, you could actually take some kind of action in real time. So prevent the message going out, or have an agent come in to help someone out. So that's just a quick overview of Reconify. So if anyone's building Gen AI apps and is interested in seeing the usage and how people are interacting with it, it's pretty easy to plug in. It's just a NPM module or pip module, depending on what you're using. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to AvartarX for the end.
None of us are.
Yeah.
Don't use that.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me. Thank you Artie, and thank you Peter for giving me the opportunity to present our startup AvartarX. Currently, the education is one-size-fits-all approach, and we believe personalized education will improve the student's outcome. So let me jump right in and show you what I mean by that. Here you see an avatar that is driven by AI, and it answers the questions very interactively in real time. What is the capital of Nigeria? This is not a pre-recorded video.
The capital of Nigeria is Abuja. It became the capital of Nigeria in 1991, replacing Lagos, which remains the country's most populous city.
And our technology also supports advanced mathematics. Kids can type in here, and I just pasted a mathematical expression.
The value of pi is approximately 3.14159. So, if you subtract 3 from pi, you get approximately 0.14159.
We have recently launched in Africa, and we have been noticing interesting use cases. Can you spell San Francisco?
Absolutely. San Francisco is spelled as SANFRANCISCO.
That's pretty much it. Unlike our competition who are using LLMs to generate videos, our key differentiator is the real-time experience. Like everything is interactive. The education, kids love to have an interactive experience rather than be watching videos which are disengaging. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
How do you differentiate with Conmigo? I know Conmigo doesn't have the, the actual person, but it's interacts.
Right. That's one of the key differentiators. Like visual, like thousand words is equal into one picture, right? So visual representation is one of the key differentiators. Canmigo, there are others who are working in a similar space, and they're all like text-based. Kids are supposed to type in, but if you think about kids who are like 6-year-old or 8-year-old, they prefer to interact with voice.
So this can act like an elementary school kind of.
Yes, both as a teaching assistant, and kids can go home and learn from it. We have,
So the kids can ask a question, for instance, how is flight defined or whatever, where is Africa or whatever. So it will respond using the same, it's going to convert the text to the video like how we have interactive avatar and then this goes on. Is that correct?
yes, all in real time.
Yeah, this is very useful, especially I have done some work in the rural areas where there is like dirt that falls into teachers.
Thank you.
Anyone else have other questions?
Just want to ask, is the avatar custom generated, or is it like one template or like a couple of like options from a pool of options? Or is it custom, like you can choose your face to be the face that speaks up?
Good question. My background is in visual effects for movies, so everything was built in custom. Right now, there are limited avatars, but we're working on ability to customize. Like our customers told us that kids like characters like Frozen Elsa characters, like boys like other characters, and everybody is different. And that's something that we're working on and will support in near future.
Is it using the X-Avatar library for this?
So
Is it using the X-Avatar library for this?
no.
And is the language model more involved? Can you ask more complex questions?
Yes, totally.
So you said it's more targeted towards kids' education, and so is it some sort of parental control, or is it like still can answer anything under the sun? Sort of.
That's a good question. We do have guardrails in place to ensure we're not inappropriately answering kids. Like if a kid asks a question how to make a bomb, we don't want to answer that. But there's room for improvement there, to be honest with you. Like, there's a lot of room for improvement.
Any other questions? Thanks a lot. So next up we have the folks from Hermis.
Yep.
Mohan and Madhu.
And just quick show of hands, guys. How many of you have gone through corporate training? And you guys love it, right? That's what I thought. So L&D is an extremely important part of most organizations. You probably know that. I'm just repeating it, right? Can you guess how much money is being spent on L&D on average? 2 to 4% of the company's revenue. How many people love it? Zero, right? That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a big problem, right? Especially in companies like that are where customer-facing organizations. It is extremely important to have good training that sticks, but it does not stick. That's the problem, right? And how many of you have kids here? I'm sure some of you. You have heard of Kahoot, right? You have, like your kids have heard of Kahoot. Gamified learning works. Even with kids, it works. But gamified learning is not done in organizations. Why? Because it's hard to do good gamification. That's the problem, right? So what we have here is Funtivity for learning, right? Funtivity is one of our products. It's on Zoom, it's integrated on Microsoft Teams. Thanks, Peter. So it is an application that's already being used by around 300,000 people right now. It's built into most of these video conferencing platforms where you can play things like trivia, escape room, bingo, scavenger, and many of these, right? So what's the new thing here? What are we doing with Gen AI? So what we do here is we take your training content, your knowledge bases, Cornerstone, Google Drive, OneDrive, whatever, you name it, right? You just point to it. We use Gen AI to create that gamified content. We actually use it to create trivia, scavenger hunt, bingo. Scavenger hunt is great. Guess what happens? You're sitting in a compliance training. I don't want to go through that stuff anymore. Hey, no, don't worry about it. Don't go through that stuff. Here, tell me where exactly you can find this information. Go to your Wikipedia, Confluence, come back, put the link. I know that you know where to find it. That's it. Move on, right? So that's what I'm going to show right now. In 2 minutes, I'll try to keep this demo quick, right? So what we have here is a whole bunch of libraries that I've created. I can go in to, if my internet works. Yes, it works. Here I'm actually, Liquid Smarts is a partner of ours. They do marketing training, training for salespeople, right? They have a whole bunch of things on their drive. Right now they basically have MP4 videos in terms of how do you do this stuff and how do you do that, right? First and foremost, I'm assuming anybody who has done Gen AI have probably used PDF to chat, right? I'm sure everybody has done it, or some of you guys have done it, right? So we took that same concept and we can come up and index all of this stuff on the fly. That's the key. We do not store your data. We do it on the fly. That's interesting. And in real time, right? We generate things like summaries, we generate topics, and we create chat, right? Of course, you actually have hey, what are some of the effective strategies in the healthcare industry? Whatever, blah, 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 right? It goes through, does everything on the fly, does the search, Google Drive, come back, give the responses. But here's where the fun is. Click on launch here. Ooh, I can play trivia. I want to play trivia now, right? So let's do it. All of this is happening on the fly. None of this is actually canned demo, right? It's not my demo account, it's a real account. If we launch trivia, and there you go, we can come in and say start an activity. Of course, you can invite your co-workers if they're interested in learning more about compliance. It's fun, right? Makes it fun. Hey, what are the 2 tactics discussed in the text to accelerate or delay a sale? Any guesses, anybody? A, B, C, or D? Made it very easy, okay? Who wants to say A? Okay, let's do it. We have one hand. I'm going to pick A. Oh no, that's not the right answer. Sorry, people. The right answer was B, reframing a distortion. Blah, blah, blah. And I actually give some information here. Of course, you can actually go to the next question. And so on and so forth. Right? I'm not going to go through the whole stuff here. Of course, we can end activity. We show you a summary of what we did, what we played. Summary doesn't look that great because I barely did anything here, right? So I'm just going to stop here quickly. Any questions on any of the stuff so far? That was the demo. So we do chat, we do trivia, we make your training interesting. Questions?
the results back into an LMS and compatible?
Yes, we can actually connect with pretty much, I can't say all of them, but a lot of the big LMS systems, yes.
Because some compliance is necessary, are some of the trivia games, like you have to score X to...
We don't,
Okay.
so we don't enforce any of that. Like, the way we look at it is like, hey, training person, we have given you a tool to make your training fun. Now, you can do this before the training, so you can customize your training to do whatever you want, and then take it to the again. They can do whatever they want. Like, we are just giving them the tool to make it fun. Like, and of course, if they choose not to use it, guess what? You still have to go through your training. Any other? Yes, sir.
How do you differentiate training from a test?
I'm sorry?
How do you differentiate training from a test? I mean, feel more like a game than a test.
So, gamified elements, like, so the way we do this stuff is like, of course, we have a lot of these leaderboards and stuff like that we come in, we put them up, that is one. Two, the biggest thing that I'm not showing here, I'm happy to show it to you one-on-one, is we are able to do team versus team, right? So, hey, the three of you play as a team, you play as a team, you play scavenger hunt as a team, or you play this escape room as a team. It doesn't feel like a test anymore. I mean, I know, trust me, I've been there in those things. I don't want to give yet another trivia test.
Any other questions? Oh, okay, thank you. So next up we have Yi with Keats, right?
Yeah, Keats, yeah.
With Keats. Yeah.
There goes the door. Okay.
Is that the right screen?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Can you guys hear me? Okay, yeah, so I'm kind of a thinker with OpenAI APIs. I was always interested in machine learning, but I'm not a machine learning scientist, so when they came up with some of the high-level APIs, I found it very interesting. And one of the more interesting API that I play with is Whisper. So I speak multiple languages, and when I play with Whisper, it's amazing like how good it's at transcribing information, and also even if I switch between different languages, it understands that really well. So kind of one obvious idea that I played around with, and this only took like an hour to build. And actually I built it with ChatGPT. Because I don't know React, so I just asked it to write the code for me. And so it's really, it's a very basic idea. It's kind of like a super intelligent version of Siri. And the idea is that it doesn't cut you off when you speak, so you can talk to like with your therapist, or so the idea is that instead of asking questions, you can kind of describe a problem. So like sometimes right now it's listening, so I can be out of a business meeting and I have all kinds of ideas in my head. I didn't take any notes during the meeting, so I just kind of get in the car, I do like a brain dump on the app, and then I can ask it to summarize everything that I said into a document. I can ask it to expand on the ideas, do some research. So you can ask it multiple questions, and then I can copy and paste the text and print it out. So that'll be like a little summary that I can carry with me. So kind of okay. So it's still listening, and I can just say, hey, can you summarize what I said just now? Oh shit. Hello, are you there?
It might be because you're sharing your screen. It might be
I know,
taking the microphone away.
Yeah, it's taking the microphone away.
Yeah.
Maybe I stay close to me. Hey, are you there? That's embarrassing. Hello, hello, hello. Well, you can just imagine it works. I mean, it's basically just ChatGPT, you know. And the problem with this idea is that it's a little bit too general. So, like in the website, I tried to. But there's not an internet. What's happening? Oh shit. Yeah, but you can. It's a very basic app. It works on Android.
Try connecting again, and then maybe that was the problem. Why it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, that's 5G, but I don't want to mess with it because.
Do you want to use the Wi-Fi?
I don't have time to do that.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, if you guys want to try it out, it's called Keeks, K-E-E-X, and it works on iPhone and Android. But like I said, the problem with this app is that. Let's see, show the screen. Yeah, see, the reason is because okay, it's back on. Yeah, so then the other thing I try to do is, once I was having a meeting with my dad's company, I kind of work for him, and I recorded the whole meeting, and then I dumped it into the Whisper API. It dumped back a whole bunch of unstructured text, and it was a meeting between 4 people. And I just fed it into GPT, and I said, can you create a meeting minutes for me? And it did a really good job at creating the meeting minutes. I'm pretty sure this is not even going to work. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah, so this is something that my friend and I we just built in the last 3 days, and it did a really good job. It's kind of surprising how it's able to tease out the different speakers, even just with like an unstructured text of a transcript of a conversation. And so I'm kind of doing a little bit of prompt engineering, get it to be smarter. And the idea is that you have tools like Otter and Firefly, and then it's kind of a big SaaS, and you have to do a bunch of setups to get it to work for you. But the idea is I want to make it into a mobile app. So, somebody like my dad, he's not going to use a SaaS to try to set up, a meeting with Firefly. But he's able to just pull out his phone, and he's able to press a button and record a conversation he's having with a lawyer or whoever. And then once the meeting is generated, there would be a share button, and then he can just send that meeting minutes, to whoever. Or I can be having a meeting with someone, this employee, and I can just send it. It's basically you don't need a secretary anymore. So yeah, it works pretty well. It doesn't work that well every single time because GPT is kind of not deterministic, but when it works, it's really amazing. I showed it to him, and he said, how can I use this? So I built it into an app, and I'm having him use it right now. Yeah, that's it. Are we out of time?
Oh, yeah, actually, so I saw this live. Yeah, you actually have to see it live. So when you get it go in after, people can see it. It was actually really cool. So you talked into it, the things he wanted to do that day, like they started in the morning.
Oh, it works for him. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he said, "Oh, well, build a schedule for me." And then it said, "Okay, for 9 o'clock, you need to do this." And it built the schedule based off of just him talking.
Yeah.
So it was pretty.
But the thing with the meeting minutes is I find that with Keeks it's a little bit too general purpose, so people don't know what to do with it. But like with the minutes, in the meeting minutes AI, it's really clear what you can do with it. So I think that may gain a little bit more traction because it's more specific. And the thing is, like you have companies with like 50 employees building like Fireflies and a bunch of engineering, but with GPT, you're able to build something like this, in a matter of hours. So it's really amazing.
Do you guys have questions?
I know you just built this, but have you thought about integrating anything? Like Artie just said, you had a schedule laid out. Is there some integration with like a calendar?
Yeah, so that's kind of, I'm going to play with OpenAI functions. I think it'll be really interesting when I get it to do things for you. Like I showed my mom, and she said, why didn't it just send the email for me? Yeah, so, and also like I think the idea is to also give it long-term memory, like with Keeks. remember everything you've ever said, and then kind of be an unstructured notebook basically, and then you can. So I think it's interesting. Also, one of the top requests is to be able to get voice response. So a lot of time I use it for driving, it's on the car. So it'd be nice. Like sometimes I brainstorm with it, I have a conversation with it. So just kind of letting people know how to use it. I think that's the difficult part. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks again. So then next up we have Arul with Outsource.
I'm Arul from OpsSource. I'm one of the co-founders of OpsSource. OpsSource is a DevOps tools company. So we basically make it easy for software companies to build and manage DevOps tools. So we offer several open source DevOps tools on the platform, observability tools, CI/CD tools, Dev Portal, and now we have a DevOps Copilot as well. So what I'm going to demo here today is our DevOps Copilot, a Copilot that uses Gen AI to specifically for DevOps tools. So if you're a software engineer and you need to use DevOps tools, which is the case, then OpsSource Copilot, which is called Aiden, will actually help you do that. So let's actually quickly go through a demo here. So this is our admin console where all of our tools are available, and we have an interface for our Copilot also here. As of now, we have two interfaces. One is a web-based interface. The other interface is a Slack-based bot where you can add that bot to any Slack channel, and then you can just interact with that bot, just like talking to any other coworker, human. So let's go ahead and ask some question to Aiden. I have typed these questions because I hold the mic in one of my hands. So let's assume that you are a new engineer in an organization and you don't even know what tools the organization uses. That's actually one of the big problems with DevOps tools. Even within the same organization, different teams tend to use different set of tools. So as a software engineer, you actually need to know the different syntax of each and every tool, the different interface, the different YAML files, etc., in order to effectively use that. And how successful you are as a software engineer, as a DevOps engineer, within an engineering organization depends on how effectively you can use these tools. So here is a new engineer, and you can just simply ask questions in English to Aiden, and Aiden will come back with contextual answers. So Aiden learns about your environment, the kind of tools you use, some of the details of the tools, where it's running, etc., and then gives you very specific answers. So in this case, this particular demo environment has a few microservices. There are 5 different components in the service. Let's say I want to get more info about one of these components. Let's say I want to know about how one of my components is performing right now. So I just asked a simple question. So far we haven't even talked about a specific tool. Are we using Prometheus, Datadog? What kind of monitoring tools are being used in the backend? We haven't talked about that at all. We're just making some very generic questions, and the Copilot comes back with specific answers. So in this case, it says that in order to find the performance of a particular component, you can go to this URL, and it also gives you some more details. So if you go to this URL, it actually takes you to that particular dashboard within this particular company's monitoring tool. In this case, it's Grafana. It's using Prometheus in the backend, etc. So as an engineer, you don't really have to know about any of that. You just talk to the system, just like talking to a coworker, and you get very specific answers back. So in this case, there's one more use case here. Let's say I want to now set up an alert. How many here have ever written a Prometheus alert? Is anyone? Okay, how easy was that? Fun? It's fun when you know it. But so let's say the next day, let's say your company switches to using Datadog. Now, are you gonna be comfortable writing an alert in Datadog? Or let's say you now you move to another group within your company and they use New Relic. Now all of a sudden you are expected to know about New Relic and how to work with that system. So in this case here, I just ask, hey, I want to get notified when when the error rate for one of my services is high. That's all. I haven't asked about which tool I use, etc., etc. I'm simply asking about that. The Copilot knows what tools are used in the backend and comes back with the right answer for you. It also talks about, hey, here is your Prometheus alerts repository. So it knows about that. It gets you that information as well. So now you have the alert definition. You also know where to go set that up. So that's similarly. You also have a Slack interface where you can actually, let's say you have an alerts coming into Slack channel. You can just ask Aiden, hey Aiden, what is this alert about? Can you help me debug? And Aiden will take you through those steps. You can ask questions like, I have some examples here. Things like, I'm actually working on creating a new Node.js application. Can you help me generate the Docker file? Can you help me generate the Kubernetes deployment YAMLs, etc.? And it'll actually come back with very specific answers. So that's the product. In this iteration, what we have is it actually answers questions, but the iteration that we are working on, the next version, it'll actually take some actions as well. For example, when you ask it to generate your Docker file, it's gonna generate it and create a pull request for you to review, and then you can actually merge it and take it forward. So it'll actually take some of those actions as well. That's what we are working on. That's the demo. Any questions?
Way down the back,
Yeah, go ahead.
You mentioned that this is built on top of the GitHub Copilot, is that correct?
No, it is not. We named it as Copilot. It's a DevOps Copilot, like how GitHub helps you generate code. In this case, it actually helps you use DevOps tools. But we use LLMs. At this point, we use the OpenAI GPT 3.5. But it's the LLM endpoint is basically pluggable. We can actually switch to other LLMs as well.
So the data, is it fed into the context, or using Pinecone or anything?
Yeah, good question. So right now it's basically a simple context here. The user admin can actually set the context here itself. Can actually provide some context. We're also working on this agent itself will go learn about your environment. If you integrate it with your GitHub, it's going to learn about all your GitHub repos, existing Docker files and whatnot. It'll actually learn about it. So we are working on keeping sort of some memory in VectorDB where we can actually construct the prompt, bring in the required context based on the question. That's next version. We'll work on that. Okay.
Does the Copilot act in answer as the user making the request of the Copilot, or under its own admin rights and privileges? And how do you manage that? And I know that's a...
Yeah, good question. We haven't got to a point of, I think the question is about rollback access control and all that. The user may have certain access now, what kind of access?
Guardrails, right?
Yeah. So we haven't got to that point yet. At this point, if the Copilot knows about something, it's going to answer, irrespective of who's asking that question. But we will bring in the role-based access control, so the Copilot also knows whether this user is supposed to have access to this information or not. That's something, I think as we roll it out to enterprises, that's something that we will
Can you also generate more documentation?
Sure. Here, this one, or the Slack, or this.
Yeah, any code that is there, so you want the documentation on the code, right? Yeah, that.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't get the question. You want to like generate code?
No, the code is there. I want a document, like a documentation.
Okay, sure. So yeah, those are use cases that we'll be building right now. It actually answers questions. What we are working on is like building out specific use cases. So something like generating document out of code is something that we will look at. Some of the initial use cases are around like if there is an alert, if there's a production issue, like how can you assist your engineers in solving that? Those are the use cases that we are working on. I think I'm out of time. Yeah, but I'm here like if you have any other questions, we can definitely talk about them.
So next up we have Katika and Harsha with TaleTime. No, I'll give you the signal or something. Yeah.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Kritika. This is Harsha. We are TaleTime. Thank you so much for joining us. We are building a personalized AI story builder, and our vision is to create a marketplace for children's stories. Excited to show you what we have. And while we're getting started, how many of you here have young kids, niece or nephews? Or once those kids were young and now they're all grown up. All right, so let's get a volunteer. So who would like to generate a story with us as we're there demonstrating? Katie, are you nominating?
I'm nominating Chris.
Okay, Chris. Well, Chris, so we're choosing you then. I guess. I hope that's okay. So what's the name of the kid?
Maxime, M-A-X-I-M.
Alright, so Maxim. And what are his favorite animals or favorite characters?
Zebra.
Okay, and are there any particular activities that he loves? Or any places he wants to visit?
Taking the cable car at the open zoo.
Okay, cable car.
The gondola.
Okay, so gondola. Alright, so we are working through our models to improve the latency. So what we're going to do is, while the story is getting generated on the left side of the screen, on the right side, we'll show you some of the stories that we already generated. So the goal is to have super personalized stories in alignment with a kid's interests, their unique backgrounds, their name is well integrated into the story, and this is right now for younger kids. So yeah, we have Lily, actually you're next.
Yeah, so the first story we're going to do about this Indian girl who's very curious. Her name is Lily. Instead of me reading the story, what we let the TaleTime read the story for us.
Once upon a time, in a bustling Indian city, there lived a little girl named Lily, who loved to daydream and often found herself lost in her own world. One day, Lily found a globe in her father's study. As she looked at the different countries, she wondered what life was like outside her bustling city.
Yeah, I'm going to skip through some of the slides while the generation is finishing. So Lily then discovers a map and starts to plan all the adventures that she's going to have in her dreams. First, she goes on an elephant ride in a heavy jungle, and then she wants to go to a candy land. She goes to that, and then she wants to take a ride in Egypt. And the last one is she definitely wants to see the Great Wall of China. And the last one, she wants to finish up her day in Paris, Eiffel Tower behind her back. At the end of the day, she's tired of all the dreaming she has done, and now she's ready to drift off into the school. Okay, so looks like our generation has finished.
On the left side. And yeah, so we'll, so yeah, this is, so Maxime is a boy, right?
Yes.
Okay, I think it interpreted it as a girl, so. but the point we wanted to make is like it can personalize, and we'll continue, let's add a twist there, so maybe make it suspenseful. Or, okay, and then, yeah, they go out. Okay, and then the next story we want to demonstrate is something that I generated with my two twins, niece and nephew. They're 8-year-olds, and we have a funny twisted story. So buzz. So one of the characters they really love is Buzz Lightyear, and yeah, Buzz Lightyear is running around with aliens. And like kids, so the young kids, they're like, yeah, they wanted a poop or a fart joke in there. So we put in like the prompt there and like seeing what comes out of it. And yeah, there's this twist where, okay, it starts, yeah, so the content is, then you can maybe scroll down, it starts running awkwardly behind the plant, and then they were just like, yeah, this got the kids like really squealing with just humor. All right, so we have the story generated on the left side, wherein the zebra is in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, the last one. And we have one last story to showcase. This is about Bob, who dreamed about playing the Major Baseball League. And yeah, we have a story personalized, and we added some twists in there about how he accomplished his dream, and it goes on to play the Major Baseball League, and then comes back to his hometown in Kenya to share about his victories with other children. So yeah, so in terms of what's next for us, so this is the TaleTime.app. We are looking to improve a lot of functionality in terms of like having image editing. We think of this as a tool for creators, specifically like those generating kids content and giving them the flexibility and better tools to customize images and change images. The other thing that we're working on is consistency in characters, as you might have noticed, is like so improving our models and having more consistency. And lastly, search and discoverability to build out the marketplace. So yeah, that's us, and we're looking to bring on machine learning engineers on our team. So if you have if this excited you, please come talk to us.
Anyone have any questions?
So with each prompt, does it create an image in a small piece of the story?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you have it do like a 3-image story and short story with one prompt?
Yes, so like right now we on the UX side, because of the latency is so high, generating a continuous story in the background ended up being a little bit of a worst experience when we played around with friends and family. We have a continue button, so that played a little bit better. So you prompt it once and you can click continue and keep generating the story. Of course, as we try to bring the latency down, I think the agentic generation of a complex story is definitely something we would like. Not only just like we're currently targeting lower age groups, I think we would, go for larger text, bigger books.
Sorry, I have another question. Do you have a beta available for people to like play with?
Yeah, this is live. We do have a couple of features that we want to put, some basic editing functionalities before we officially launch, I guess. But yeah, so it's definitely TaleTime.app. We would definitely appreciate your feedback. So.
Great. I have 2 nieces who are going to have a ton of fun.
I have a question. I just wonder that what algorithm or what solutions you use to make sure it produces the content that is meaningful to users.
Sure. So definitely we are exploring a bunch of prompting techniques that we're going to do. We are currently at chain of thought, and we have a implementation on tree of thought prompting technique to generate a better story. We definitely want to introduce more reinforcement learning based approaches into this tree of thought prompting technique. Or there's a new approach that came out with using MCTS to make LLM do complex planning and execution. So that's the next step. But right now we're at chain of thought, tree of thought.
And, we're using OpenAI and some open source models for
This one?
So there's a common question with any Gen AI content generation tool. So who will own the copyright?
That's a very tricky legal question you brought us. We are we are thinking about that as well. And like
between your service and the user, do you have clarity on who will own the copyright?
Yeah,
the user.
Yes.
Will own the copyright, or?
we would be looking for legal advice. So if you have any suggestions for lawyers we should talk to, we would love to talk to them.
If I show this to my son, he would want to publish that as a book.
Yes, exactly. There is commercial potential. And specifically, like we had the debate pertaining to like Buzz Lightyear showing up there. So we don't want to get in trouble with like the big media houses and the publishing houses, right?
I think to your point, sorry, we're taking the time. To your point, I think we definitely are exploring the whole manifestation of this story generation into a physical form, and we are also exploring the whole marketplace idea in the sense that we want to support creators and consumers and the traditional, profit sharing models and all that stuff. So we're definitely.
Okay, thanks everyone.
So next up we have the folks from Zingly.
Thank you.
Come on, clap. Oh, so,
should be okay.
I'm shared hold.
Okay. Let's see if it connects. Lovely. Well, John, thank you. My name is Gaurav Pasi. I'm at Zingly. We started Zingly about 2 years back, and it's been a pleasure, fun ride. We are at seed stage. Prior to Zingly, we helped build a company called Five9, took them public in 2014. And the problem is pretty simple. Maybe I'll start with a very, very simple question. Do you know what FOMO is? F-O-M-O. Raise your hand if you do. Simple question, everybody should know. Trick question is, do you know what FORO is? F-O-R-O, FORO. No. But I'm pretty sure you've all felt FORO. If not every day, at least once a month. FORO means literally fear of reaching out. And think about your last call to Comcast. Think about your call to an airlines company. Gosh, think about last time you bought a software going to a company's website and your experience thereof. That's fear of reaching out. People, the brands are pushing customers away, and that is just eating everything up. It does not make sense. So Zingly was started simply for that reason, to destroy FORO forever. And the simple way we are doing it is putting the power in the hands of the end customer where it belongs, so that all the way from the buying journey to onboarding to the actual customer service is a stunning experience. And it's a stunning experience for both customers, and it's a stunning experience for the brands. This is the world of subscription. Why do I want to push my customers away? So brands are not idiots either. Simple reason why they push the customers away is because it's a supply-demand issue. Think about it. Number of agents who are taking your calls are never going to match the number of consumers or customers. So they end up putting the IVR, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. What do? So you said you have 300,000 subscribers. If you have more and more visitors coming to your website, what are you going to do with them? You don't have as many SDRs and BDRs. So what do? You end up putting some sort of a chatbot in front, and it's a workflow-based chatbot, and guess what? 4.0 happens. Look at the most latest and greatest modern companies out there. They have something called a web form on their website. We spend millions of dollars to attract traffic to our website. And when customers finally come to the website, what does the website do? Bunch of information tool. No interactivity at all, zero interactivity. The only interactivity is a web form. And look at your numbers, barely 1% conversion coming out of your web form. The only other way to attract customer acquisition, the spray and pray model. Have your outbound SDR, BDRs, make phone calls, send emails. I don't answer a phone call if I don't know the number. So apparently nobody's answering. So that's why it's a spray and pray model. So this is where Zingly is born. To simply come in and say, we got to destroy that 4.0. We spend all that marketing dollars to attract traffic. Customer acquisition is a tough problem. Think about PLG companies now. The more PLG you go, the more CAC becomes an issue. Customer acquisition cost goes high. So if you go down market, your CAC goes up. So it's a reverse problem. You have to solve that. The world has to solve the problem. So that's why Zingly was invented. Go next one. So there are three basic pillars to it. The first one is simply about solving the supply and demand issue. What we have noticed is the traffic clearly is dropping from 800 calls for obvious reasons, and the traffic has started to shift to the websites. And when the traffic comes to the website, that's where all the intent has to be figured out. Who is on the website? Who are the visitors? What do they want to do? Well, you can engage with every single visitor that comes to your website. You sure can. But the liquidity in the market does not allow that. If I can hire like hundreds of SDRs and BDRs, I'll definitely do it. But I don't have that kind of liquidity, neither do you. So that's why this first topic has been created, like precisely target who's on your website, what are they doing, what are they exploring, what the intent is, so we can target those people. The second one is why we are here, Gen AI. Now, SDRs and BDRs are not doing much. They're simply looking at a script and talking to people based on a script. So that simple problem we have overtaken by Gen AI to say, okay, this will help you auto-qualify with what we call Buddy. We did not name it any other name. We simply call it a Buddy. So Buddy sits there, and the simple job of Buddy is we call it one shot, one kill. Meaning you ask me a question, you're gonna get an answer back. A simple answer back to what you asked for. And you keep asking questions, Buddy will keep engaging with you. The more questions you ask, the more we qualify you. What are we doing? We're protecting the human on the other end, the sales guy, to only focus on the leads or the prospects who are really warm or hot leads. If they are wasting your time, don't worry about it. Don't waste your time on oxygen thieves. You have your competitors coming on it, don't waste time on them. Waste time, spend time, invest time for people who are really interested to work and do business with you. So this Gen AI Buddy qualifies them, auto-qualifies them, and when it's qualifying them, it alerts the actual agent at the end, or a rep at the end, say, hey, this is a visitor you want to be talking to right now. And this is a real customer who's very, very interested. Spend your time there. So the visitor also feels they're super engaged on a website. Website is informative, is interactive, and all the good stuff. But this is also where a large portion of AI is coming in. The engagement is not simply a chat or a phone call. We have once and for all come up with a new concept called Zingly Rooms, where every single kind of interactivity, whether it's asynchronous, chat, texting, whatever, or synchronous voice, videos, doesn't matter what you want to do, payments, calendaring, whatever, every single thing is in that simple concept called rooms. And most importantly, because we have shifted the power dynamics and put the power in the hands of us, the customers, it's a persistent space. Meaning once you touch that room, it's always persistent. It never disappears. It will always be there. So let me show you how it quickly works if it's understood what the concept is. So any visitor coming to your website, Buddy sits at the bottom. If you keep going, John, you will notice that everybody at the back, we are always tracking, understanding who that visitor is. So website, generic website over here, a visitor comes in. Behind the scene, we're tracking who they are. We reverse fingerprint you and all the good stuff. We exactly know who different people are. If you're unknown, if you're a known person, what your intents are, where on the website you have been going through. And And we start building intents from there on. Recencies, frequency, all the good stuff that you should be hoping for. Are they matching your ICP, your ideal customer profile, or not? So once the ICP is matched, that's obviously a good thing. But if you think about your marketing ops guys, they're not going to sift through, gosh, I don't know if there are thousands of customers on the thousands of bidders. It's not possible. So that's where we go. We take this intent and we segmentize the intent. If we go to the next one, we quickly do segmentation of the intents of the visitors based on who they're coming from. This could be simply your ABM, your account-based marketing as well, to figure out where different people are coming from, who are those accounts, also what campaigns are working for you and whatnot. Because campaign is also where we spend a lot of energy, money, time, investment on. So based on different campaigns, where is the actual benefit coming from? So in this case, a visitor comes to the website, the buddy is sitting at the bottom, making your website fully engaged. So the whole power dynamic has also shifted now. Website is not just an information tool, it's interactivity kind of a tool. So it comes over here and you can start asking questions like, hey, welcome to Cardiff, what brings you here? What does your company do? This thing at the bottom right corner, this is not what a customer is seeing, this is for us to understand. Behind the scenes, Zingly is always qualifying who's there. Take your IP address, we know what your location is, we kind of know what company and organization you're part of, and the more it interacts over here, the more we build what we call the scoring for the end customer. So the key thing over here is we crawl to your marketing data and we understand what is existing information on your website. So this LLM starts purely customized for customer to customer. So it's really what it's doing over here is almost building like a software sales LLM in this case. So one question asked, one answer given very, very immediately, very, very custom to what you need, what your business is. So it will keep interacting behind the scene where the customer says, yeah, I'm part of, let's say, a company called Atika 6, and immediately the qualification starts. And if you click next, what you will realize is we will go behind the scene, go one more, John. We'll go behind the scene and we'll start interacting like, oh, okay, I can interact with your Salesforce, HubSpot, wherever your CRM is. Immediately it's also connected to your website. And then we know this person is actually in your pipeline right now. So what do you want to do? Are you going to send that person to your SDR, BDR? No. You want to go to your AE and say, Mr. AE, in this case, Jordan Sparks is over there. Your customer is live on the website and has been interacting. So we do scoring 5 different ways on customers before we get there. One is we get to understand the intent of the customer, like you saw, intent was building all through when you were interacting with Gen AI. Second is demographics. In this case, we got to know this is Kaylin. Kaylin is from Atika 6. Even the Gantt information on Kaylin will be there. Thirdly, the activity. How much activity has gone in with Buddy? How much are you interacting with Buddy over here? That builds the activity along with the intent. Fourthly, we look at the actual communication, which I'll talk about. And then lastly, every room has a stage, which I'll show in a second. So if you go next, immediately the person starts to come in and say, hey, great to meet you, Kaylin. Would you like to see a live demo of Card? 1 minute. And at that point in time, because the customer wants to see a live demo, you click next. What you will notice is immediately the website becomes the buddy shifts to the actual AE, and the website will convert into a video platform. You don't have to go to Zoom, you don't have to go anywhere. Your own website becomes a video platform. AE comes in, starts to do a demo. If AE is not equipped with demo, they can pull the SE into it. I, as a customer, can pull my CRO, whoever I want to pull into it. It's a multi-people platform. Anybody can come in, and once you interact, all the calls are recorded, all the calls are summarized, and all the good stuff that happens over there. And the data never leaves. So that's what Zingly is. There's a lot more to it, but this is the high level of what Zingly is about. Questions I can help answer.
Very interesting application. In terms of the ideal customer for you, is it like a B2C or B2B? Or is it like a big time B2B enterprise sale? Which probably is not, right?
Yeah, if you can imagine, that was the biggest question for us to answer for a long time. We found that anybody who has high value, high engagement, where relationship is important, is an ideal customer for us. So because of that, we took 2 major markets, financial service companies. So we ended up actually serving very, very large financial service companies with this platform. And then we see at the bottom end of the market, B2B companies. B2B companies specifically who are going towards a PLG motion right now. So the moment PLG motion takes into play, the cap goes up. Does that answer your question? Nice. Anything else?
Yeah, so you mentioned a lot of features. One of the features was providing customer interaction, segmentation, preference, so that it can use it for marketing purposes. I know that there's a lot of competitors out there that do the same thing. For example, Google Analytics does that. So what makes Zingly stand out, differentiate from Google Analytics?
Yeah, we are not competing with Google Analytics. Let them do all the work they have to do. The real information that we are building is, think about if your call center where you make calls today has moved to your website, almost the call center type of metrics now have to come to your website. So our purpose is really twofold. Our data is all twofold, which is pipeline management on the website, so your website is going pipeline, and service. So customer service is also going on the website. So that's the kind of metrics that we are doing. Google could be a good feeder for us. We're not competing with that.
Yeah, but also keep in mind, Google Analytics is generally anonymized, right? And here what we're dealing with is looking at enriched data for specific visitors to the website. The other thing that we find is there are people who do begin to deal more with the specific personal data that's coming in, is oftentimes you're dealing with not real time, right? There tends to be a real-time gap or latency in that. So one of the things we're bridging there is bringing real-time data in with the enriched data from the visitors coming to the website. So that gives us a bit of an advantage. And then when we combine that with the concept of the room and the memory that we can build around what's happening within the room, then it gives us sort of a sweet spot where we can work better.
Yeah, we're literally building journeys over there, and we can see like thousands of people in this journey actually turn into an MQL or a converted customer. So if somebody comes in now on the website, we know this is the person hitting that journey, so convert them faster.
People generally don't like talking to bots. What's your feedback as to this?
They don't like talking to workflow-oriented bots, which they feel like they now have to go through large, same pre-canned version of what everybody has to go through. But what Zingly has done is, like I said, one shot, one kill. You ask a question, you get an answer back. The precision rate is skyrocketing good. So I wouldn't say it's 100%. Before, we've been looking at this thing for decades now. Before it used to be 8 to 10%. We're hitting at 60% plus precision rates right now without any help from a customer. Now, if a customer comes in and we start helping them, it's hitting at about 80%. And actually, this one, no, sorry.
How are you tracking? Do you track across different properties, across different customers, or is it like if I install Zingly on my site, it's only content from my site? If that is, then how are you getting any information other than like data listings?
If I understand your question, per brand, are we going across brands? Is that what you're asking? So yeah, our vision is definitely going across brands. But right now it's creating the traction, going customer at a time, and helping brand at a time.
And to be clear, we do secure the data so it does not cross tenants. So we're SOC 2 type 2 and all that.
I mean, even like cross browsers. Like if I open Safari and open Chrome.
You can go anywhere you want, but if you're coming to a different device or a different browser, we will also say, are you a returning user? If you say yes, then you sign in and then all your data is right there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for coming out. Those are all the demos for tonight. We'll send out an email with links to everyone so you can check them out after everyone's interested. I definitely appreciate everyone attending, as well as Peter with M12 for hosting. There's still some food and drinks, and you're welcome to stay and keep networking and talking to the people that were presenting. But thanks everyone for coming out.
Thank you.